Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome to Arc 6, Episode 1 of The Second Stranger, which is the main D&D campaign for Transplanar RPG. Welcome, welcome. I am your game master and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter, Itch, Ko-Fi, and TikTok at @ByConnieChang. That's ByConniechang. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Quinn.
Hi, hello, I'm Quinn. You can find me at Quintastic_ on Twitter. My pronouns are they and she, and I play Citlalli, the Grave Cleric, who has never done anything wrong in their entire life, who also uses they, she pronouns, and I'm going to pass introductions along to Val.
Let's go! Hi everyone, my name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a Twitch variety streamer and TTRPG performer. Who could have guessed? And I use he, him, his pronouns, and I play Voska, who is our bard, College of Spirits bard, who uses she, they pronouns and is doing her goddamn best. And I'm gonna pass introductions along over to Max.
Hey y'all, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me playing newly minted Paragon Dewey Quirk. And I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Starchmonger. Yeah, I'll pass it up to C.
I just realized you're sitting in my old chair, Max. Hi, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I am a TTRPG performer, dramaturg, and digital artist. You can find me making very trans, very gay art on the internet over at PieSharp Art. I am playing your misbeloved Prince Okahien today, who uses they, them pronouns. I also use they, them pronouns. I don't know if I said that or not. I forget. And I am very, very proud to announce, as always, that this episode of The Second Stranger is sponsored by Dimitri Opines and Explain Trade. They are a negotiation skills training consultancy, believing in the power of D&D and Transplanar's potential to grow, tell great stories, and lift up our communities. Explain Trade, if you don't know what that is, trains negotiators for governments, big companies, NGOs, and offers e-learning courses for individuals looking to get a better deal from their boss. Unionize, motherfuckers. Check them out over at explaintrade.com, and I will pass things over to Max.
I wanted to give a special thank you to our Patreon Paragons, who are pledged to our highest tier on Patreon, which is $25 a month. And those Paragons are Azra, Brookbright, Bradley, Charles, Chiakres, Cora Eckert, Hat, Lex Slater, Marvelous, Mitzi, Moonflower Tea, Purple Mouse, Risa, Rue, Scruffusus, and Targot. I'll pass it to Quinn.
Hello, so last time on The Second Stranger, after their own misadventures in Dabathati and Kirtal, the Equilibrium Guidance Group, or EGG, returns to Dr. Luso's homestead to prepare for their next missions. The group split up again, with Gentle, Duran, Aviku, V, Rev, and Costas heading north to Morose, while Oka, Citlalli, Voska, Dewey, and Dr. Aluso themselves head to Jukai. What will this new adventure bring? Only time will tell. Use !recap in chat for a full recap of Arc 5, and I'm going to throw it over to Val to talk about today's title.
The titles of our episodes come from marginalized writers of all stripes. Today's title is One Star Sliding Up the Blade, from the poem Man in Black by Justin Philip Reed. The full verse reads, I stood at the December 26th of a light year, the knowledge a knife, dividing vastness from vastness, one star sliding up the blade, its concise life. A forever yoke between 2 seconds, 2 little white violet ends of the line, before it sank into my human quick.
Thank you, Val. And with that out of the way, let's do content warnings. For this episode, and our campaign in general, may include fantasy violence, apocalypse, trauma and grief, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, flirting and romance, and references to sexual entanglement. So use !CW for a full list of content warnings at any time in chat, and !safety for a look at our cast's lines and veils. Let's begin. It's Arc 6, baby!
Oh.
Bear 39. Is there no end to this? Is there no solution? The darkness doesn't stop. The sky is a tessellation of eyes, pupils, wounds in reality crimson and empty, bleeding monsters none of us have ever seen before. And the wings, alabaster, sprawling, feathers overlapping like Mahu's waves, hard as diamond, folding over her body like armor every time one of us gets close. Is there no end to this? Is there no solution? Bear 39. Shuhai Miao. Sunless light breaks over Dr. Eluso's homestead. Chickens roost within wooden pens. Rows and rows of tilled earth lay fallow. A handsome dusting of snow thickens the red roof of the barn, and the cottage stands strong amongst the frost. We push through a foggy window to find a warm, inviting living room. Fire crackles in a hearth. An orange cat dozes on a thick rug. Books, scrolls, trophies, accolades of every size and stripe line the walls. A staircase curls up toward a second floor, and the smell of ginger tea suffuses the air. Oka, where do we find you at Dr. Eluso's homestead?
Oka is actually outside, I think. And if I may, I describe them again, because it's a new arc and I'm so excited to do this all the time. Oka is a drow Aasimar with slate gray skin, black hair, a smattering of freckles, and more scars that crisscross their body than I think even they can count at this point. The most notable feature about Oka is probably their eyes. Blue sclera, blue iris, 2 pupils in each eye, both of which are trained currently on their enemy, protege, mentee, across the way as they, I think, run forward through the snow, their feet leaving these thick footprints in the snow, as they bring Dream Hunter, this beautiful longsword carved with runes all down the hilt, up and into the paring blade of their good friend, colleague. Don't think about that too hard. Citlalli, as Oka swings Dream Hunter right at you.
And Citlalli, if I may describe them again. Citlalli is currently 5'2" and will be for a while, if you remember Arc 5. 5'2". It's just a short phase. It's fine. They're 5'2", with long curly multi-pastel hair, very curvy, and a dress that is slit, not for it's for style, not for, you wouldn't know that they're a monster hunter by looking at them, but she is, and they have boots on. They have thigh-high boots, and off to one side there is a roughly hewn kind of cane. Oh, they've got fucking lightning scars, all the way crisscrossing up across their body, and little kind of constellations, silver, not quite freckles, but across their body, little stars. Citlalli, I think, barely manages to parry the blade, and just kind of grunts with the effort and is I much prefer using a shield for this. It seems much more efficient than using this whole parrying thing. The shield is bigger than, I don't understand why we have to do it like this, but okay. And then I think she tries to push Dream Hunter off of her rapier, and I think takes a beat too long at calculating what to do next, because Citlalli is very used to playing 4D chess, and this is checkers. So I think they spend a beat too long looking before they tell with their eyes where they're going to lunge.
Yep. And I think Oka just responds we're not using shields because your work is still extremely sloppy. And I think as they say sloppy, it's just kind of a like tap, 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 like 3 different places where they could have like got you in that moment. And then they and disarm the rapier right into the snow. And your grip strength is still like you're holding onto an egg. Hold it like you're holding Mercy's ponytail, for fuck's sake. Again, and Oka steps back, restarts, and brings Dream Hunter up again.
So cut that. Dear God, cut that. You're not going to. Okay. That's fine. It's fine. I'm still hot. Citlalli goes and like is staring after Oka and like tries to very like cleanly grab the rapier out of the ground, and it sticks. So like she kind of looks at it and they're like, no, I'm cooler than this. Fucking like pulls it again. Harder this time, perhaps inspired by the vision of something. And does manage to get a better grip on the hilt. And just kind of under her breath, but loud enough that Oka can hear. Could have cast Blight like 6 times and you would have been dead by now, but you know, that's fine. Anyway, and like starts to go back and like is taking up the starting stance again.
And Oka kind of rolls their eyes a little bit and they go, can't counterspell this. And they come forward again, and I think like the swords clash one more time.
As the sparks fly off your blades, I think we sweep past this training field surrounded by snow and fallow fields of soil to find Dewey. Dewey, where are you at Dr. Lisa's homestead, and what are you up to?
I think Dewey is in the kitchen. He's got like a tray with a couple of mugs of hot coffee on them. And he's staring out the window out to where these two are training. And he's sort of just like, should I go? They look like they're kind of, is this a good time for me to, he's trying to like figure out whether or not it's a good moment for him to go out with the coffee because they're getting a little heated, it seems like. And Dewey, I'm going to describe him again, I guess. Since the last time he was at this homestead, he's changed. He's gone through his full magical Paragon Girl transformation. His feathers are like less dusty blue and more like seafoam green, aquamarine sort of color. And they've got the ends are like the ends of his feathers are black with like white speckles on them, which if you stare at them a little too long, you're like, are those constellations? But also they might just be dots, who knows? And you've seen him wearing his full Paragon regalia, which is like many layers of robes and a sash that goes around. But I think on days when they're just training, researching, he goes back to his casual attire of like a shirt and cargo shorts, and maybe he wears like the robe on top of it all, just because it's kind of, it feels it feels like he should, but he hasn't figured out how to. There's like a sash, the normal orange sash that like flutters in the wind, even when there's no breeze. He hasn't quite figured out how to get that to come off permanently, so that's always tied around his waist. So yeah, sort of this like half casual, half dressy look, and he's just fidgeting in the kitchen with this tray of coffee that's getting colder and colder because he can't figure out.
And Dewey,
I think through the window you just hear Oka scream, again!
It's killed you so many ways, so many times, so many different things.
Not with that, you haven't!
Dewey lets go of the tray and goes and sits in the at the dining table without the coffee and just puts his head in his hands.
I love that.
Waiting for the screaming to die down.
As you do. And Dewey, I think we pan past you at this low table to find in a different part of the homestead, Voska.
Voska, I believe, is seated at like the main living room, close to where this adorable little cat is napping, and has been for the past several minutes plucking upon the strings of a zither placed upon her lap. And I should describe what Voska looks like. She is a UNT with this lovely mass of white hair that sits upon her head with an undercut. And if you paid attention, within the locks of hair, you could see tiny bits of snowflakes, shards of ice, almost infusing themselves into the fiber of her hair. And she wears these robes of black and gold with these incredible circular geometric patterns and a sash that runs from her wrist to elbow. And by her hip, you could see a black and gold flute decorated with serpent skin patterning up its length that's seated right at her hip with a beautiful light blue tassel at the end of it. And as she is plucking each string of the zither and hearing Oka scream multiple times, stops her playing, as she has done each time there's been a loud noise mid-playing, and kind of like readjusts the gold chain around her neck attached to this shard, this crude kind of carved gem or stone that sits upon her chest. Kind of fiddles with it and attempts once more to play, and then hears Oka scream again and gives up and stands up.
If you go to the window to see what that one was all about, I think that there are like it was a cracking noise as I think like bone shards, like these like twists of like huge bones, almost looking like these huge spikes coming out of the ground, are now kind of in between Citlalli and Oka at this point. And Oka is like, you have to, maneuverability is important, Citlalli. You can't just stand in the back line and fire off spells. You need to be able to protect yourself when somebody is on your ass.
Well, typically when somebody is on my ass, I have a good handle of that, Oka. Also, we talked about the sacrilege. Do we have to sacrilege every time we train?
Well, it makes you angry, which makes you at least motivated to keep going.
I'm always motivated to keep going, and I think they kind of like slash really dramatically through like some of the bone shards of that.
Voska kind of like stares. It's almost exactly like if someone were to stare directly at the camera, and Voska is just gaze trained on this scene that is occurring right in front of her.
Dewey, not looking up, speaks up and is like, if you want, like, the back left bedroom is the quietest. You're still gonna hear them, but
Notice. That is very kind of you, Dewey. I think I will be all right. Just a matter of getting used to us all. And kind of her gaze, her blue, icy blue and fog gray white eye pans down to the abandoned mugs of coffee and kind of like stands over one arm around her back, like supporting her lower back, and gestures to it, looking at Dewey. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
And picks up the coffee mugs, hands one to you as you have like your face in your hands, and kind of sits adjacent to you at the kitchen table. We might as well enjoy the scenery. And takes a sip.
At this point, the Dewey and Voska in the house, you hear a very loud and unceremonious thunk, 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 thunk coming down the stairs as Mercy, the leader of the Hounds of Mercy, comes down, massive bastard sword strapped to her back. She is this muscular half-orc woman with red hair shaved on the sides, done up in this like very pragmatic ponytail. She's got an eye patch over one eye and an open tunic, despite the fact that it's literally the dead of winter. But she like hasn't put on her winter coat yet, right? And her tunic is tucked into these like brown trousers that are also tucked into these leather boots. Like thunk, 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 thunk. And she like arrives at like the bottom landing.
What did we say about shoes in the house?
What? That they're fine? What? Just because you want to flash your freaky feet around doesn't mean everyone does, okay? Quirk.
What? Go break those two up, please. Just go.
What? They're having a good time sparring. Huh. That's my partner out there. And Mercy strides over to the window and flings it open. Like, just bam, bam. Like, just doesn't even unlatch it, just bams it open. And, like, gust of, like, wintry air flows in as she just takes in a huge lungful of air and shouts out, "Go get him, Citlalli!"
I think Citlalli mid-spar just kind of, like, looks over and stops, like, paying attention completely and is like, I will. And completely ignoring Oka and just like heart emojis.
Oh my god. Oka takes the opportunity, like, gives Mercy a dirty look out of the corner of their eyes, but they're still mid, like, swing. And I think they actually throw Dream Hunter because I finally have Dream Hunter stats and I realized all the cool things I can do with it. They throw Dream Hunter. And if it's okay with you, Quinn, I think it, like, sticks into one of the shirt sleeves of Citlalli's, like, dress and, like, pins it back against the side of the barn. And then they recall, like, they, like, let them sit there for a moment, and then they recall the sword. It just kind of, like, flies and it reappears back in their hand. Distractions. Citlalli, what did we say about distractions? And what did we say about distractions, Mercy?
You're cheating.
We're working.
That's cheating. That's a magical sword. This is a no magic zone. That didn't count. Referee says the points don't matter here.
Referee is biased, Mercy, and I threw it. I recalled it with magic. But I threw it.
Walk it off, Citlalli, walk it off.
I'm fine.
Because just looking at Dewey, like, while drinking this cup of tea, when the window was, like, crashed open by Mercy, you could see the wind, like, blow past her hair, and her hair kind of, like, swishes past, but she's motionless, taking a sip of this coffee.
Mercy whips around, actually, and sort of says, I think to the two of you, because there's no one else there for her to bounce off of, she says, that sort of thing, we gotta give that an old spin in the bedroom sometime, eh? By we, I mean me and Citlalli. Someone give me a high five! Fucking A!
Voska just looks Mercy up and down, and looks to Dewey and goes, "More sugar," and pushes, like, this small plate of, like, sugar cubes over.
Oh, please. You're both paragons, but not of perfection or chastity. I knew for a fact Atalanta was into some freaky shit, Voska, so don't give me that angelic attitude.
Voska, like, pushes, like, the sugar over to Dewey, and then leans back, and it is the most minute, quiet thing, but the icy blue eye just turns over like this, looking at Mercy only for the briefest second, takes the cup and presses against her lips once more.
Remember, choose, go, out.
Fine, yeah, whatever.
The window.
Okay, jeez. And Mercy goes over to the window, just sort of like carelessly pulls it back shut, and I think heads out to the training ground. So I like opens the door, there's like a swell of like wintry air again, and Mercy's voice going, "All right, Citlalli, take it from the top. Oka's got a bad left knee," and like closes like the door. And you hear like the muffled voice of Mercy going, "Well, I don't actually know if Oka does have a bad left knee, but target the knees, get the joints, use some sand, throw it at their face. If we're gonna play dirty, let's play dirty," right? As like Mercy keeps continuing toward the grounds. And inside the cottage, the door that she like pulled shut like slowly creaks back open because she'd like broken the lock upon opening it.
I believe we should tell the good doctor that both the window and the door require some repairs. Yeah, I don't think that window is going to close quite the same way.
Okay, but not me this time. I've already done it I did it twice this week. I told them twice this week, and
That is a fair boundary to put up, yes. Perhaps it should stay this way. If this is only going to continue. Perhaps that's better.
If what is going to continue? And stepping out of like their office, which is on the first floor, we see Dr. Aluso, the most handsome and beautiful human person you've ever laid eyes on. Sorry, that's canon. They've got like blonde hair and an undercut. There's a theme here with our characters, and they've got these like
We're gay.
glasses. We're gay. Undercuts are gay. They have glasses on, right? Like a light brown skin, and they have a white lab coat on perennially. That's just kind of smeared with various liquids and oils and gear grease and whatnot over like a tunic, trousers, boots, and they close their office door behind them and look at Dewey and Voska attentively.
I believe the doors and the window might need repairs.
Oh, that's not a problem at all. And Dr. Lusso sort of flings their wrist up, and we see like blue light ensconce the latch on the lock of the window, and it repair itself with like a pleasant chiming noise.
Oh, there you go, Dewey. No need for additional work on your end.
That
More
was
coffee.
so easy. Yeah, there's coffee in the kitchen. If you want some.
Oh, no thank you. But I appreciate you brewing it. We should get ready to go soon. It sounds like Oka and Citlalli are working up a sweat out in the garden. Do the two of you need anything from me as I finish packing?
Not that I can think of right now, Doctor, but thank you.
Of course. This is from Gentle, and Dr. Aluso reaches into a cabinet, right, and pulls out a shelf and pulls out these little, like, mesh devices used to hold tea, like to help steep it, and each one is like of a different kind of make, right? And they like hand one to you, Voska, and one to you, Dewey.
This is so sweet. I can't keep up with all the Gentle gifts.
This is very sweet, yes, thank you. I will be sure to give them my thanks the next opportunity I can.
Polite and gracious as always, Voska. I'll make sure to let them know if I see them first, Dewey.
Thanks.
All right, well, I have to decide between packing a beholder eye stalk, which has particular intuitive properties, or a wand of blasting, so I will be in my office if you need me. And Squeak is also around. I'm not sure where she is exactly, but she's around. And Dr. Elisa goes to retreat back into their study.
Are you going to inform the other two that they should prepare their packing, or should I?
Dewey looks very uncomfortable with the idea, but thinks
I should.
No, I got it this time. You finish your coffee. And he heads out the door.
When you exit out onto the porch, for some reason, Mercy is doing push-ups in the field. And if it's okay with you, Citlalli, maybe you're like on her back. she's doing push-ups, and she's going 9, 10, and sees you, Dewey. 10, 100, 10, 102, 10, 103, 10, 104.
Babe, you skipped a couple of numbers there.
Huh? And she's doing them with like one arm now.
Who are you trying to impress, Mercy?
Oh, hey there, Hollow Bones! And she's gonna like slowly, gently get up and like gently deposit Citlalli back onto the snow.
If you're all done with whatever you're doing out here,
Training? We're training.
Uh-huh.
We're trying to train. And I think Oka was, doing the thing where they take like the bottom half of their shirt and are like wiping their sweat on it, right? So you can see this like starburst of scar tissue, the top surgery scars, the pierced nipples, right? Like this like gold, fucked up scar just like starbursting out of their chest. And they like wipe it down, let it fall again.
Hey, are those new?
Is it? What, the jewelry? Yeah, every time I have a breakdown, I like to give myself new jewelry, so thanks for noticing.
All of you hear some coughing coming from the cottage, and Citlalli, Dewey, and Oka, you can make a perception check if you want.
16.
12.
Natural 20. So 30.
Fucking 30 for the first roll of this fucking arc. How dare you?
Oka and Dewey, the two of you don't really notice anything as you continue to talk to each other, but Citlalli, you catch some movement by the cottage out of the corner of your eye, and you see the curtain to Dr. Luso's study on the first floor just flutter shut very abruptly, and like a glimpse of like Dr. Luso like spilling some tea on themselves as they were looking out at the training ground, and they close the door. I mean, close the window.
So Oka, you and Dr. Luso are on like first name basis, I noticed.
Yeah, we've known each other for like a year now.
Yeah.
What, do you want to get your ass kicked again, or are we talking now?
I think we're talking now. But
Fine.
I don't know, maybe, I mean, like, do you two, I mean, have you like, you know.
What? No, I don't like Dr. Aluso like that at all, and
You're the
Oka's face
worst
gets
liar.
so red.
You're the worst
what?
liar.
What?
You're the worst liar I've ever met in my entire life.
That can't be true, actually, because you know Gentle's a worse liar than I am, I think.
No, I don't think they are.
Citlalli, you wound me. Really?
I think if Gentle
Anyway, there's
wanted
absolutely nothing. I don't know what you're talking about, actually.
You're
Yeah,
red as a beet.
no. Anyway, I have to go.
Hacking.
Elk. Yeah, no, we have to pack. We have to pack, actually, is what Dewey just said. Good to see you again. I wish you wouldn't dress like that. Goodbye. And Oka makes a beeline right back towards the door.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but the robe is really nice. I don't know why you have to ruin it with the shorts underneath. Feathers.
All of you were standing outside, and all of you are wearing shorts and barely wearing shirts, I guess, also.
See you inside, Blue. And Mercy's gonna stomp off toward the cottage as well, with Citlalli in tow if you wish.
I think Citlalli is gonna, as they're leaving, Citlalli just kind of like leans into Dewey and is like, if it's like a utility thing, can't you like make a bag of holding for yourself? Like, is that why you need so many pockets?
I'm not taking fashion advice from all of you.
I wasn't criticizing your fashion. I was just saying, okay. And then they just kind of follow Mercy.
And Dewey, you hear a voice behind you. You didn't realize she was there. Just go,
They're being really nice with their advice. I say burn the shorts.
and Squeak is holding a poop shovel, like, by the chicken coop.
Dewey's head snaps around to look at Squeak. He didn't realize she was there. And then, like, embarrassed, like, runs back into the cottage really quickly. Embarrassed and a little bit terrified.
So everyone returns back into the house. Can I get a vibe check off of everybody's mood?
Yep, Oka comes back in first. Their face is still really red and they're looking down, which is maybe actually kind of nice because I think for the most part, other than training with Citlalli, like at least once a day, Oka has been catatonic is probably the best way to describe it. They don't stay in the common places. They go to their room, they ride their elk, and they train with Citlalli, and that's pretty much all they do. And I think they like hesitate upon seeing you just right there in the kitchen as they kind of stumble back in and kick their shoes off really fast because they're not a monster. They make, I think, like really awkward eye contact with you. Hey. And they just kind of like duck out of the kitchen and keep going.
Good work today. And takes a sip of her coffee, finishing the cup.
And I think as Citlalli comes in, she pulls like this very elegant, very ornate robe off of like probably like I don't know wherever you hang robes on the wall, and it is the robe that Rev gave her the last time that they were at Dr. Luso's, and it has like 8 stars, 4 on one side, 4 on the other down the collar, and the inside is like the night sky. They very reverently like put that back on and kind of stop as she looks up and notices Voska and kind of tilts their head. Did I do any better today?
I think you improved. Your footwork is way better than it was when you first started. So, well done. Oka is just trying to encourage you.
My footwork was shit, but that was nice of you.
Not from where I'm standing.
Yeah, well, you're not the one getting your ass beat. And they kind of lean a little bit heavier on the cane than they might have been this morning. It's cool though, because like, you know, Healy shit, kind of our thing. We can both. Yeah. And then they just kind of, she starts to go up the stairs, remembers no shoes, looks down at the monstrosities of the thigh-high boots that she wears, and they just kind of, and they just kind of sit down and like start taking off the boots, but like trying very hard not to be perceived.
Mercy leans down as well and is like, do you want me to help you take these off your feet?
I mean, I guess since you're offering.
All right, well, anything for you, my love. Have you thought about installing zippers in these? I feel like it'd be a lot easier to just unzip them down the side and step out.
Zippers, is that like a thing you can do with boots?
Yeah. I mean, I used to have zippers in my boots all the time, especially when I was writing.
Yeah, but like, will it still look? I mean, like there'd be a seam, so like, I don't know. These are custom, you know,
you can make it like a
thighs.
thing. You could build the zippers into the design of the boot. Like I had a pair of riding boots with zippers up the side, and like the zipper part was like a stick, and I painted flames around it, so it was like a stick was on fire. Your zipper could be like teeth, like the teeth of like a bullet or something. I've got more ideas. Sell them. Yeah, well, I mean, the answer to that question I feel like is irrelevant, where I got the flame boots. But if you have to know, yeah, it was a 1 week anniversary present from Selim.
1 week, huh?
She got really attached, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been keeping track?
Oh, of course I have. I mean, yeah, duh. It's been, at least 3 months. 5 months. 6 months. 7. It's been almost a year.
I mean, like, we don't have to put a number on it or anything.
No, we don't have to.
I think they kind of like take back their foot and like tug the boot off a little bit with more force than they had been before.
At this point, the study door opens again, and Dr. Lusso clears their throat as they straighten up their lab coat. They look exactly the same as when they like first came in. Like, there's no evidence of like a spill or anything like that. They step out. They have like a little like satchel, like a little bag on, like slung off like one shoulder, like a leather satchel that looks a lot smaller than you'd expect for someone packing for like heavy travel and winter wear. They cast their gaze around. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Since we're all here, we should probably head out soon. Where's Oka? Oka?
What was that? And I think Oka comes thundering down the stairs. And I think they almost like, since Citlalli is sitting on the stairs at the base, they like tap, 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 and then kind of like stop suddenly. You know, that's a horrible place to sit. There are chairs like right there. And they like skirt, like just kind of skirt around. And Oka has put on a little bit more of their formal wear. So they're wearing that kind of like see-through shirt with the celestial patterning on it up. And I think they don't have their crown on yet, but they are wearing this like other cloak, I think, for winter wear with this like thick wolf fur probably. And they also like have their bag, and like Dream Hunter is strapped to it as well. Present, ready to go. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I have a very important question for you, Oka, which is, with your shirt on, are your piercings visible?
Yep.
With your check from earlier, you don't notice, but Citlalli does notice. Dr. Luce's eyes like look at Oka and then flick down and then up again very fast, and then down and then up again. And Dr. Luso clears her throat again and says, Voska, Dewey, are we ready to go? Kinongbo calls.
Voska this entire time has just been watching this entire thing intently. And kind of is just panning around. A very quiet exhale, and stands up and walks over to where the zither was, just pops it into a bag and slings it over her shoulder, tucking her flute by her waist. I'm ready whenever everyone else is.
Dewey's he's holding his robes very tightly around him, trying to pass it off as like he's coming in from the cold, but he's also very much like feeling attacked about his outfit, and he like hurriedly grabs an enormous duffel bag from like the side. It's about as like wide around as he is, but it's not like super long because that seems unwieldy.
You mean it's not too long?
Dewey heads out the door.
Okay, yeah. Wind gusts in yet again as Dewey heads out, and Dr. Luso nods and also starts heading out. So does Mercy, right? Mercy's already got all her stuff with her, right? Voska, Citlalli, Oka, I think all of you are able to get out onto the front porch and head toward the teleportation dais, sort of carved between the barn and the chicken coop, right? Just a massive raised stone platform. And Squeak is waiting by the platform, poop shovel stuck into the frozen ground, waiting, I think, with those like bulbous eyes perched atop her rotund orbitus body. And Dr. Aluso pauses by Squeak, nods, and says, all right, Squeak, I don't know how long it's going to be, but hopefully not too long, a couple of weeks at most, fingers crossed. In the meantime, here are the keys to the kingdom. And Dr. Aluso hands Squeak a literal key. It's kind of like glowing blue. It looks like kind of like a psychically constructed key, right? And Squeak like very like urgently grabs it and goes,
Oh, it's been so long. I finally have the run of the homestead for myself. I'm gonna put in a screen and project pictures onto it. Pictures that move.
whatever you say, Squeak, whatever you say. All right, up onto the dais, everyone.
And I think this whole time, Oka has kind of been trailing behind the group a little bit, dragging their feet a little bit through the snow. And I think starting to do that thing they do that they don't know that they do, that they've only started to realize that they do, which is like they touch and they fiddle with their clothes in front of their chest when they're nervous. And I think they just kind of mutter, time to face the music. 7 down, 1 to go. And they get up on the platform.
I think Citlalli kind of picks up on this and just kind of leans over and is like, hey, are you good?
Can I get back to you on that?
Yes, but that's also kind of an answer.
Yeah, no, you know me too well.
I am, a little observant.
It's terrifying. I can't fucking hide anything from you.
You probably could if you tried.
And Oka kind of makes this befuddled face and is lost in thought for a moment.
I think your thoughts are interrupted by Dewey holding his enormous duffel bag, waddling up to the dais and trying to fit on. It's like, everyone got everything?
Dewey, did you really need to bring every machine you've ever made?
This is not all of it. Okay, number one, all of my Paragon clothes are in here. And all of you just made fun of me for not wearing them, so...
Not all of us made fun of you, just for the record.
Okay, well, it felt like it. And number two, who knows what we're gonna encounter in Jukai? Better to be prepared?
Wear what brings you joy, Dewey.
Or don't. Because what brings you joy brings misery to everyone else, so please be considerate.
Is everyone on the teleportation? Everyone hands and feet inside of the teleportation rune. We all good?
I hate this part, I hate this part, I hate this part, I hate this part.
It's not so bad.
It's just teleporting.
Goodbye, Squeak. A snowflake. White. Fractal. Cold. Pinwheels through frigid air. We see the grooves on each spike, the icy ribs of its body, thin filaments of ice spiraling over and over and over again in a never-ending cycle of wintry beauty. This snowflake lands at the base of a red cedar tree native to Jukai. Its thick, curving branches hang heavy and white with snow. The sprawling fingers of ginkgo trees cast long, jagged shadows on the alabaster ground. This time of year, Fumisoki Forest is as cold and snowy as it will ever be. Even rivers run still, the babbling of water silenced underneath thick rinds of frost. The smell of pine, snow, mulch, soil stirs the air. Sparse bushes tremble as winter rabbits dart underfoot. And within a clearing, a pillar of light erupts. The weave tenses, gasps, releases its hold on reality to reveal, ribboning into existence, the six of you standing atop a raised dais. Your party has teleported into the middle of Fumisoki Wood, and as soon as you arrive, your breaths leave your mouths in thick clouds of white. And as this magic, I think, unravels from your bodies and you corporealize, you shimmer first in little atoms and then in full color. This isn't Kinongbo. As Dr. Aluso had promised, this is like the middle of the forest. What do the four of you do?
I think during the teleportation, Oka kind of grabbed onto the back of Dr. Luso's lab coat, and they when they reappear, their eyes are shut really tight and their brow is pinched. And they open one eye, kind of let go of Dr. Luso's lab coat really fast. Sagu, aren't we supposed to be going to Kinongbo?
We are. This isn't Kinongbo. Based on the smell and the ambient topography, I'd say we are maybe 3 days' ride north of Kinongbo?
Why? Did you put in the wrong runes?
No, I activated the rune for wherever Lord Henka Oju had mapped her teleportation dais to, which would be Kinongbo, we agreed, the capitals of all the 8 nations.
Why would there be a teleportation circle in the middle of the forest?
I don't know. Wait, what's that over there? And Dr. Luso's pointing past the ferns here, past the black pines around you, past the apricot trees, the low gurgling brook nearby, and you all see Umaori Lake in the near distance, spanning the southern perimeter of where you're standing. And you see on Umaori Lake a temple floating atop the water. A sprawling above-water compound peppered by river grass and ornate bridges. But there's something else, too, by Umaori Lake, something that decidedly was not there when you, Citlalli, and Mercy were here last. Crowding the shore is a town, and quite a large one at that. Snow dusts the straw roofs of cottages, shrines, stables. Gardens brim with winter vegetables, fruit trees, cultivated farmland. Hundreds and hundreds of people populate this town, fishing the lake on docks that look recently erected, chopping firewood, harvesting berries nearby, erecting new buildings. There's construction undergoing by the hour, it seems. And the jewel of this shoreline that you can sort of see through the hazy branches up by your hill is a palatial complex, low and sprawling. 4 flags fly from gilded eaves, each one threaded with the sigil of one of Jukai's 4 great tribes. And fluttering from a spire atop the central building in this complex is the biggest flag of all, the green, gold, and silver standard of Jukai itself, and the emblem of the Great Uniter. It's almost like a diorama of the actual Emerald Palace at Kinongbo, a miniature version of it, right? That isn't quite as beautiful, isn't quite as ancient. It looks new. The wood is fresh, right? You can see some artisans, like tiny little ant people, right? Because from how far away you are, painting one of the pillars, right? Of the complex.
That is quite odd. Are there renovations?
No. Lord Oju didn't mention anything about renovations, and besides, that's not Kinongbo. That's Umaori Lake.
Yeah, that wasn't here when we came by to see Unme, and like they look up at Mercy.
Yeah. Ume definitely wasn't. None of this was here. This must be a recent development. Maybe a tourist thing, you think?
Maybe.
It's a little big for a tourist thing. Who's Unme?
Goddess of the lake. Yeah, she's an emissary. An angel. She protects Three Hoof Lake.
So Unme was before Oka.
Was an emissary I encountered before Oka and I met. Yes, Citlalli.
Citlalli, I don't like how you're saying that.
Oh, nothing. Just, Mercy had a crush on an angel.
It was more than just a crush, okay? It was
Mercy.
reciprocated. Saying crush makes it sound like it was one-sided, when it definitely was not.
I don't know, it kind of seemed one-sided when we
it was mutual, okay? Our breakup was mutual. I mean, I had my, monster hunting business that I had to take on the road, and she was a lake, so didn't work out.
Because Lean is kneeling onto the ground and looking at the teleportation circle, and just kind of from what I understand, we are not expecting this teleportation circle to be here. So how recent is this? Is it new? What does it look like, I guess?
Yeah, make an investigation check for me.
Natural 20 though. 24.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Val, I'm sorry. Hold on. Is that your first roll of like the actual campaign?
Yes. Are y'all ready for it to go downhill from here?
There's literally no other direction it could go. It has to go downhill unless you keep rolling 20s. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, as you know, Voska, the Alliance of the Eight was set up a few weeks ago when the Dream Shield fell, right after Arc 4. And this dais looks a few weeks old, right? It seems to have been erected around the time when members of the Alliance agreed to set up teleportation sigils in their capitals. So that much is true. And the workmanship here is accurate, it's solid, it maps to Dr. Elusa's homestead and the other capitals.
Your discussions, perhaps they erected an additional one, or they intended it to lead it here, good doctor.
We should head down to the shore. That's the standard of the Great Uniter herself. Maybe she's down there. We should clear up whatever is happening here. I'm sorry, everyone. I really expected us to be in Kinongbo by now.
Don't apologize. It is, it's a bewildering set of circumstances, it seems.
And I think Oka hops off the dais into the snow and kind of, like, when you hop on snow and then you sink 2 more inches, they do that. And they just kind of like crack through the ice and they go, ugh. This is not actually the first time that a member of the Alliance has, done something fucked up with their teleportation circle, so I guess this is just the way it is. And Oka starts trudging through the snow toward the little settlement.
Voska will follow, and as she is walking, I think she just naturally has a better grip on the snow, kind of just walking very lightly atop the snow, not even sinking into it.
Yeah. Mercy is like wading through the snow. She's like kicking and like basically she's plowing it as she walks. She's like using her feet to plow it a little bit. She kind of forges ahead and makes walking it a little bit easier for those behind her. And I think all of you set off down this gentle slope toward Umaori Lake and this settlement that's not just a small settlement, it's quite large. It's like the size of like a town, like a proper town, right? The temple of Umaori Lake where Unme is worshipped is dwarfed in comparison to like all of the buildings all along like the edge of this shore, right? It extends for like a mile, probably more than that. And I think by the time that all of you get out of the woods and step onto the shore, this like icy kind of caked over frosted rimed sand, this like dirt that's been cultivated, various like an acre of farmland is just sprawling in front of you before you get to where the buildings pop up. And there's that palatial complex, I think, also against the water. And people are just walking around. I think it's like early afternoon, right? Folks are out and about. They're like fishing, they're talking to each other, they're strolling along the gardens. Most of them are at work in some capacity.
Well, Oka gives Voska a kind of a look. They grit their teeth, set their jaw a little bit as, like, I feel like they go past, like, just above Oka, like, on the snow without actually, like, sinking in at all. And they, like, you know, they, like, kind of push through the snow a little bit faster to try to keep pace with her a little more. I think as they're walking, their crown kind of flits back into existence on their face, like, starting with the smaller beads that, like, hang off of their face, like, and it's, like, one bead by one kind of knitting itself back up and onto their face as they get closer and closer to this mini palatial garden as we're heading to try to find Lord Henkaoji.
And I think I think Citlalli's probably behind Mercy because it's easier, because they don't want to get their cane stuck in the snow because it's annoying. I think once there start to be people, like, I think Citlalli is trying to actively eavesdrop.
Make a perception check for me.
Okay. No shit, that's a natural 20. So 30.
What
Oh boy!
is happening? Oh my god! I'm glad I'm really like coaxing out these nat 20s outside of combat from all of your dice. So, Citlalli, you stealthily and surreptitiously cast your gaze about this hustling and bustling village. And you see, do you speak Jukan?
No, but
Oh.
I do have a spell for that.
Yeah, I think as you concentrate on this spell and the weave sort of tenses around you, what sounds just like incomprehensible language slowly melds into something you know. It's like listening to Simlish slowly turn into English, right? For someone like me, like, doesn't... That was a horrible way of explaining it, but that also kind of works. And you just sort of hear, like, voices go, crop yielding a lot of apples this winter, I hope. I mean, I'm not used to farming lake dirt, but I'll make do here.
Dad, I caught some tilapia. Tilapia's a freshwater fish, right?
I think so. I'm not really used to fishing from Umaori, but good job, kid.
Love, do you mind rubbing my feet a little bit harder? I've been helping to chop lumber all day and I'm tired.
Yes, of course, my darling. Yes, anything for you. Stuff like this. Filters past you as you start to walk through the town, and you also start to notice people noticing your group. Hushed whispers sort of fall as people stop working, people stop like hoeing the ground, people stop harvesting, stop weeding, stop building things. They pause, like hammer aloft, and turn to watch Oka and Dewey specifically, right? Like stride through the township, and Voska as well. People are muttering, and you hear snippets of, those are the paragons, right? Yeah, that's the paragon of abuse. That one's Galtanger, and that one, I think that one's Sen. And you hear that one word, Sen, being repeated over and over again by the people of Jukai. Sen, the paragon of Sen. They're here, Sen's here, and people are just whispering and pausing what they do to stare at your group.
I think Dewey has been, so in his enormous duffel bag, he definitely packed snowshoes. And he's just been like trotting along on top of the snow. But when everyone starts staring, he like makes a move to like follow behind Mercy, because she's the biggest, and he's unable to stay upright in her wake, because snowshoes were not meant for disturbed earth, I think, or disturbed snow, and he's just like tripping all over the place. But he hears like he's like very self-conscious, and then he hears all the mutters of like Sen, and he's like, oh, they're not talking about me. Okay, we're all good.
Dewey, do you wanna put your bag in my bag, unless yours is a bag of holding too, because mine's a bag of holding, and like then you don't have to lug it around?
Let's consolidate once we get to wherever we're going. There's so many people looking at us.
Yeah.
Alliance members, welcome. We've been waiting. And striding through the crowd parts reverently to reveal an Earth Ganassi person. They have like colorful crystals of all different kinds, opals mostly, embedded in their skin and their hair, and they're dressed in these like dark emerald green robes, not the same color as the chrysalis, more refined, shot through with threads of gold and silver, right? These are the colors of Jukai nobility. And they sort of like do like a deep bow. They're coming out of the palace gates to greet you. Hello, hello. My name is Nobu, head of House Bando of the Oju tribe. I've been sent out here to greet you and welcome you into my Lord Commander's parlor.
Voska reciprocates the bow, kind of mirroring the body language almost flawlessly, and looks up. Goes, thank you for the welcome. And they're at the parlor now.
They are, yes, that is correct, Paragon of Nithusa. They are waiting for you to receive you and offer some explanations. I assume you must have many questions.
Indeed, this is quite new. How long have works been done over here in this town?
Almost a year now, ever since the goddess of the lake, as we call her, Unme, was liberated from forces attempting to hurt her. This shoreline has been deemed safe for settlement. I believe we have you and you to thank. And Nobu gestures at Mercy and Citlalli. Huh? Me? What? Yeah, that's us.
We did do that.
We did do that. Yeah, we rescued you people here, huh? So you should, is there a money reward? Do we get money?
No.
Is there
no.
gold?
Mercy?
What?
No,
Mercy?
No.
Oh, sorry, old habits die hard.
Yeah.
So, into the palace, yeah? We're royal visitors, huh? I can get used to this life.
Babe.
Huh?
Tone it down.
Oh, okay, yeah. Of course. Mm-hmm. After you, my love.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop talking. Just
All
stop
right.
talking.
At your leisure, Nobu. We are grateful.
We are grateful for your assistance here in our noble nation. Please, follow me.
And I think as they're going in, Oka leans over to Dr. Eluso, and they kind of whisper under their breath, weren't we supposed to be keeping the whole Paragons exist thing a secret? Why does everyone here seem to know exactly who we are?
This has come out during some alliance meetings. It's been quite difficult to keep the existence of the Paragons under wraps, especially after V became Paragon, because everyone in the championship knew about V, and sort of went from there. It's an agenda item. It's not really at the top of the list of priorities, though, right now.
Right. Everyone's looking at me.
Oh, hey, it's okay. Do you want me to make you invisible? I can make you invisible. You could also turn
make
invisible.
myself invisible.
Right,
I probably
right.
shouldn't. Yeah.
No.
Let's go.
No, you should. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Would it help if I...
Good talk.
Nothing to see here, everyone, says Dr. Luso in perfect Yukon, but they're still rather awkward as they say it. We're just here on Paragon business. All will be fine. Don't look at us. I think that should help.
Oka, who does not speak Jukan literally at all, nods. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And twice as many people are staring now as your party goes past the gates.
Citlalli turns, because like tongues works for an hour. It lets you understand everything, and also anyone like you speak to can understand anything you say as long as it's spoken language. And Citlalli just kind of looks back and catches Oka's eye and is like mouths, that didn't help. That made it. That was bad. That was worse. That was Mercy bad.
And Oka's face crumples a little. Okay. And they nod.
Maybe they're just staring because they like the shirt. Right? It's a nice shirt. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Voska listens intently and is making quiet notes in her head.
Yeah, okay, you see someone's like, clearly someone's partner like staring at like your piercings, right? Like looking, and like their partner's like looking at them and then like smacks them on their arm.
I didn't know my new titty jewelry would be such a highlight of this episode. Oka looks down at their, and they kind of lean to Dewey. Is the shiny stuff too much? I chose like kind of a nicer piece, you know, because is it too much?
No, of course not. But also, you shouldn't be asking me for fashion advice, probably. It looks great.
Yeah, you're right. Oka immediately pivots to Citlalli. Is it too much?
Define too much in this scenario.
You know, it probably means it's too much. I'll change them out, maybe.
No. Your nips are rocking. We're here. Nobu.
Voska, thanks, Nibu saw it, right?
Yep. This Earth Ganassi person stops in front of like I think one of the main gates leading into the central building in this complex. You're surrounded on all sides by like these like cultivated gardens. You see like people going with like little shears and trimmers, like working on like some hedge work, right? Cultivating some like big like red apple trees and whatnot all around you. It's a little similar, I think, in terms of the courtyards and the flowery to the royal palace of Toulon. But the specific kinds of plants that are grown, the specific kind of ornamentation on like the eaves and on the fences are distinctly Jukan. Nobu steps up onto an elevated low wooden porch and slides like a wooden door, I think with like sort of like paper covering like open to reveal like a tea parlor, right? With no chairs, but just cushions on the ground around like on like a tatami ground around a low tea table. And sat on one side of the tea table, their fingers folded over themselves, sort of steepled in intent concentration and focus as they listen to their companion talk, is Lord Henka Oju. She is a purple-skinned drow woman with these long, attentive ears, wearing emerald green robes layered on top of each other intricately, embroidered with images of rabbits and foxes chasing each other amongst clouds. She's got this like long black hair swept up and back in an elaborate royal hairstyle, kept in place with various pins and jewels. She wears a golden crown sat on top of her hairstyle with 3 prongs coming up. And her face is painted white with rice powder, with a daub of crimson ink on her lips as the only spot of color in her expression. She's talking with her companion, a red dragonborn woman in muted robes, rather understated ones. This like crest, I think, fanning out from her neck, and she's carrying like an iron fan in one hand as she converses with Lord Henka Oju. And as the door slides open, the former queen Mogui Lin turns and sees you, Oka. And on that, we're gonna cut to break. So we'll see you all in 10 minutes. Enjoy the fan art reel. Enjoy, the little break timer, the break music. We'll be back in 10. Bisho. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Arc 6, Episode 1 of The Second Stranger. Let's hop right back into it. Content warnings for this episode and this campaign in general may include fantasy violence, apocalypse, trauma and grief, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, flirting and romance, and references to sexual entanglements. Use !CW in chat for a full list of content warnings, and !SAFETY for a list of our cast's lines and veils. With that out of the way, let's hop right back into it. Oka. You stand at the threshold of a tea parlor, looking directly into the eyes of the woman that ruined your life. What do you do?
Oka, I think, was still in the middle of like having some kind of very awkward conversation with Mercy, being like, are you sure the sapphire like isn't too much? And they immediately shut up and just totally freeze, and their whole face just goes blank as I think they just try to rewire themselves as they stare at this red dragonborn woman who only Dewey has met before, I think. And take a beat, and they don't smile, and they speak in common instead of Tsu. And they just go, Guilin. Also not addressing her as Queen Moa or any official title, just using her first name.
The former Queen Moa, who, as I'm sure you all remember, was exiled by Oka as vengeance and mercy, lowers, I think, a teacup that she'd been holding in her hand, like down to where her fan is flat against the tea table, and says back to you, Oka.
I believe that's Prince Hien.
Prince Hien. What a pleasure for us to meet again.
Speak for yourself.
Lord Oju here is an old family friend of the Moors. She has extended her grace to us to allow us to stay here in this new settlement of Unmei's grace.
And Oka just hasn't stopped looking at her, has maintained eye contact this entire time. And they speak to Lord Henka Oju even though they're still looking at Queen Moa. Are you aware, Lord Henka Oju, that you are harboring a woman who attempted to kill nobility in Sulong to further her own political agenda? Not the kind of company I would keep in my personal tea parlor.
It is not Lord Oju who responds, but Nobu. They chime up next to you, they say, oh, well, Lord Oju is aware of all the consequences that any of her decisions might make, and is always very informed when making choices, I assure you. It does appear that perhaps it would be most efficient if, Guilian, you would like to perhaps take a stroll about the garden. I hear the forsythias are looking quite good this time of year, in this particular part of Jukai. And the former Queen Moa picks up her fan, picks herself up off from the tea table, and nods slowly. But before she leaves, right, she says to Lord Oju, Henka, my son. And Lord Oju just looks up at her and just nods once. And Guilian sort of like crumples her hand into a fist, tightly squeezes it, nods, and then turns and moves to stride past your party into the garden.
This whole interesting interaction. When Nobu steps in to speak, how is Lord Oju's body language throughout that interaction?
Just by looking at her without making a check, she is unreadable. Her face doesn't change. Her body language doesn't change. It's almost like she is a mannequin or something.
I would like to make a check. That's okay.
Okay, yeah, roll insight.
I see the die in your hand, Quinn.
Hold on, I need to do math because I'm bad at math. And especially if there's double digits. That is a 33, 18 plus 15.
Citlalli, would you also like to roll insight? Because I can see that die in your hand.
Yes. Yes, I would. Yes.
God, I love being a bard.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck
Shut
up.
up.
Are you serious?
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up,
No.
Quinn.
No way.
Are you fucking serious?
Yes. That was a nat 20.
What is happening?
What is happening?
I mean, it's not a 33, but it is a 30.
Oh my god. What the fuck? Okay, both of you. Gee, I've made this joke so many times because you keep rolling nat 20s on insight checks, Quinn, but you perceive that you're a character in a game that is being played. No, so Citlalli and Voska, the two of you train your eyes on Lord Henka Oju, especially as Nobu speaks, and you perceive what's happening here. Lord Oju doesn't feel the need to answer for herself, so she's letting her servant talk for her. Right? That's the initial power balance. She doesn't feel like she's basically like what Oka is asking me is kind of beneath me to answer directly. So Nobu will feel that question. Right. She, with your extremely high rolls, anything south of a 30 would have netted you nothing. Like, you would have not known anything about her, like what's making her tick, why she's behaving the way she is, because she, at the top of the hierarchy here in Jukai, which is a land of masks, lies, deception, and charisma and performance, she is unreadable. Like, her performance leaves nothing, right? Like, you can't read what makes her tick, you can't read what makes her scared, what she's aiming for, her personality, anything. It's just like a blank sheet of paper. But with a 30 and a 33, there is worry. Worry bubbles in the pits of her eyes. Something very troublesome is fretting her, right, at the front of her subconscious. But anything less than a 30, she just appears a statue.
Sorry to clarify, but a worry that's kind of like adjacent to this, or with the whole turmoil that's happening right in front? Does it feel like it was brought upon by the interaction, or is it just kind of like,
no,
I'm distracted by something else?
Yes, she's not distracted, but there's something else looming. This doesn't even register as a problem for her, like what's happening between Oka and Queen Moa. You surmise that she's not worried about the fact that she's keeping the former Queen Moa here. Probably because she's like, I am literally the person in charge of this place. I can do what I want, right? Is the vibe you're getting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think as Queen Moa like finally leaves, Oka has been holding their breath. They kind of like instantly relax. Like, as soon as she's out of sight, they just kind of like their spine moves forward a little bit. And I think you can even like hear the exhalation of breath through their nose that I think kind of like hisses between their teeth, even though they don't mean it to. And they immediately kind of snap their gaze back down to like the teacup, so they don't have to look at Lord Henka Oju, but they are looking near her to like give the impression that they're still looking at her, but they are like somewhere else in their mind, I think, immediately.
And as soon as the door shutters closed behind your party, and the former Queen Moa is gone, that's when Nobu smiles, right, showing, I think, different colored teeth that also kind of look like gemstones. And they say, please, have a seat. Make yourselves comfortable.
Thank you, Nobu. And Voska will, depending on the orientation of where we're sitting, of where the cushions are, will place themselves at like a forefront and allow Oka to kind of just take a ladder teacup that wouldn't be the most forefront of the gaze of Lord Uju.
And I think Oka just kind of like mechanically, I think you do the thing where you kind of just like position yourself just right, and Oka just flows into the spot because they're not even thinking about where to sit. They just sit in the place I think you direct them, and they don't even know you've done it. But they like sit kind of quickly and a little heavily, I think.
Dr. Luso sits next to Oka, and Mercy will sit next to Citlalli.
Are there just 8 chairs at this table? Meaning, does someone have to take the seat that the former Queen Moa just left?
Yes.
I'd like to think that that's where Voska went to go and sit.
Okay.
As all of
Cleansing
you
the
sort
space.
of cleansing it, yeah. As all of you sit down, like you kneel down on these cushions, right? And Nobu starts preparing tea for all of you, like starts pouring each of you a cup. It is Lord Oju who speaks next. And her voice is soft, almost girlish, understated. But every word you sense has been plucked with intention. Alliance members, thank you for coming. I am sure Dr. Aluso has briefed you all on the stagnation.
And I think Oka is still kind of speaking down into their teacup. Briefed us insofar as we know pretty much nothing about it, yeah.
She waits an uncomfortably long amount of time as Nobu finishes slowly giving... It feels like a power move as Nobu finishes pouring tea to all of you, and then taking their damn sweet time, puts the kettle back down, and then leaves. Right, but this entire exchange takes like 15 seconds. And when Nobu's finally gone, the door closing, Lord Henka Oju's eyes snap to you, Oka. We don't know exactly what the stagnation is. All I do know is around Kinongbo, rivers refuse to run, and trees refuse to grow. And anyone we send into Kinongbo, much like the carnival, does not come back out.
Oka does a few mental calculations about that. So why aren't you there?
I was not in Kinongbo the night of the cataclysm. Ever since Bear's End, Kinongbo has been unbreachable. Why, excuse me, hi, Mercy here, leader of the Hounds of Mercy. Very, very, honored to meet you and be here at this table. Wow, great tea, fantastic. This cup looks, it's nice. If you don't mind me asking, why weren't you in Kinongbo? Why do you ask, Mercy of the Hounds of Mercy? I'm just making conversation. If it's like a personal thing or like a secret or what, you don't have to ignore me. I'm good.
I think Citlalli has their cane kind of like resting on like across their knees, and just very subtly as they can, like jabs Mercy in the thigh with one end of it.
What? Sorry, it's hot. It's very hot, scalding, one might say. That Nobu really doesn't know how to make their tea like Gentle does.
My lord, we mean no disrespect to inquire into your personal affairs. Just to know more information. As you said yourself, we know nothing of the stagnation. We know nothing about the incidents that's happening in Kinongbo. But any information that we can have of the timeline of everything that is occurring will aid us.
My absence from Kinongbo the night of the cataclysm is, I assure you, solely a personal matter that has nothing to do with the cataclysm, the stagnation, or the god shard of Sen.
Yeah, insight check. I don't trust like that.
Anyone who
This
wants
is
to
Voska, I don't...
can roll insight. Go ahead.
Hello, yes, woo.
I am literally rolling like one number below 18, so 17. That was a 32.
Yeah, I got a nat 22! That's
Dewey,
cool.
it's all up to you now. I'm manifesting.
I rolled a total of 21, which is better than I've ever rolled, so...
I think this D20 is broken.
No.
Again,
No.
30.
You got a... Is that the fourth nat 20 you've got in a row?
Uh-huh.
Statistically, this is a statistical wonder.
I don't know what is happening. Should I roll a different one?
This is statistically next to him. No, keep the d20. Because I want to break its spirit. Okay. All right. You table of... Okay, fine. Pry my cool NPC secrets out of my cold dead hands. Well, why don't you? Okay, fine. With your group's collective fucking roll. So... She's telling the truth. The reason why she's absent from Kinongbo that night wasn't nefarious, right? She's like not secretly in leagues with a stranger like, at all or anything like that. With your two nat 20s, you know that, right? You also know that the reason she's so recalcitrant about this is because it would be improper for her to reveal why she was absent from Kinongbo. All right?
Uh-huh. My apologies, my lord. Really curious.
Lord Oju, Is there anything else you might be able to reveal to us about Kinongbo, what you think might be happening? The carnival, of course, Atalanta told Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V that people were hearing, well, of a carnival. Just a stagnation, that just seems to be around Kinongbo. What about what's inside it? Scouts peering at Kinongbo from afar have confirmed something odd. There is no movement within the city. It seems to be at a standstill. Night and day cycle as normal around Kinongbo, but no fires are lit nor quenched when darkness arrives. It is almost as though it is a ghost city. Or it is as an insect suspended in amber, stagnated.
As in, no one inside the city moves at all?
Correct.
And they've just been still for the past almost a year?
A city of statues.
How many scouts have been sent ahead into the city up to this point?
12 before I relented.
And the scouts scouting outside of the city, were they able to parse through their identities as one of these statues or no?
We have not seen any specific scouts we'd already sent in appear as statues later. But Kinongbo is a large city.
Do any of those dozen scouts have family?
All of them do.
And perhaps they would have the effects of said scouts for divination purposes?
We have already attempted to scry and divine upon the scouts sent into the city. It is as though a cloud fogs our perception. You are more than welcome to try, but I fear your attempts may yield nothing but smoke.
Interesting.
Is slightly hopeful that the spell did not fail outright.
Our best deduction is the god shard of Sen is blocking all attempts to scry within the city. But you are the paragon of Sen. Surely you could plumb Kinongbo unscathed and restore the city and its citizens to normalcy.
I think Oka, hearing like the Paragon of Sen, they kind of like jerk their head up, like they had not been listening, I think, this whole time. And they kind of like glance to either side of them. Yes, that's what we're here to do. Similar, must have been similar to the carnival. Same thing. Same things, I'm sure. We'll just do it again.
Okay, but are we remembering the same carnival here? Almost killed us before we just say yes to going inside this city where we might not return from. Like, what else have you tried besides divination and sending people in?
We've tried flying over it, tunneling under it, going around it, throwing objects in, attached to lines that we attempt to pull out. We've tried a lot of things outside of just myself going in wholesale. All of our attempts to find what's happening within have failed in one way or another. There does appear to be a domed effect over the city. If you fly high above it, I don't believe you will be caught within the stagnation. But if you approach a certain radius of influence, then you are drawn within.
Does it draw people to it? Does it beckon?
No, not like the carnival.
Every time the carnival is mentioned, Voska closes her eyes and takes a sip of her drink. Doctor, it seems that the only way forward might be entering.
Yes, that does appear to be the only option. Good thing we have 3 paragons, Mercy, Citlalli, and myself, to aid in this exploration. Lord Oju, we will do our best to make sure that the scouts you've sent in and everyone in Kinongbo is returned to the now, to here, safe and sound. We'll do our best. My working hypothesis about the carnival is that it was a pocket dimension of sorts created by the fractured god shards of Scott and Nectus that drew people into a space folded between realities. So if that's what's happening here in Kinongbo, you probably won't be able to reach us once we're in there. And we might not be able to reach people outside of it too.
Dewey does not look convinced.
Oh.
Oka kind of bites the inside of their cheek, considers this. We lost nearly 2 months in the carnival. It was hours for us. We were gone for a long time, so much so that you came to get us at Sagaton. So I think it might be prevalent to write our goodbyes before we head in, if we need to.
A rather cynical turn of phrase, Paragon of Sen, but you have access to all of our silken tapestries, our inks, our books, our missives.
I've just seen what happens when you disappear.
Well then, we won't. We will simply not disappear, and we will take care of the stagnation, spick and span.
When Oka brings up writing goodbyes, Voska puts down her cup a little too quickly and sets it onto the table.
I think Citlalli's probably across from Voska, and I think Citlalli notices this, tilts their head like 2 millimeters, and just kind of like puts a hand, like maybe a cup, like an inch or 2 closer to Voska, like on the table very deliberately.
She kind of just looks at you and just tilts her head. And, like, if there is, like, a teapot nearby, refills her cup, like, with the appropriate etiquette.
Can I insight check that nod?
I mean, GM, I don't know.
I do allow insight checks against PCs. If you want to, Voska, you can deception or performance against it. Or you can just let Citlalli roll.
Yeah, go ahead, just roll. There's nothing that Voska's necessarily hiding.
No. No way. No way.
No fucking way.
Fucking times?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Voska! What does Citlalli get with a nat 20?
I think, Citlalli, I'm going to give you like a span of time within minutia of what is occurring with Voska. I think you with each moment the carnival is brought up, you see the stiffening and the stiffening and the stiffening of her body language. You see her spine almost erect and solid like stone before the putting of the cup back onto the table. And with a nat 20, when Voska kind of like turns to you and nods, I think that it feels like a acknowledgement of like, I'm okay. I'm just refilling my cup of tea. Everything is fine.
With their other hand, under the table, they draw a quick sigil in the air and cast sending, and just So Voska, in your mind, you hear Citlalli's. I've seen denial before, but like, this is incredible. And, you know, as a master of deception myself, I see you. And we can talk.
There is a pause as Voska responds. Thank you. I appreciate the check-in. It is just not the best place. Let us talk. Thank you.
And Citlalli nods once, like almost imperceptibly, like as she is taking a sip.
As you're like completing the sending, Voska, usually when folks like receive a sending, there's kind of like that mental of like, oh, I'm thinking in my head. Nothing. Just ice cold, sipping the tea from her cup, and her eyes train on you for a moment. The little steam from the cup rising against the smoke gray eye.
And compared to the very fine, I think, minute detail of the conversation that these two high wisdom motherfuckers over here are having, I think Oka has extremely obviously stopped listening again, and they're like staring into their teacup, and they look kind of dissociated and just like they are somewhere else entirely, and there is no way they can hide any of that off of their face. They are just staring into their teacup now.
Well then, if our minds are exhausted of questions, the 6 of you are free to sleep here for the night, recuperate your strength, gather any resources you might need. You are esteemed guests of the great Uniter herself for your stay. Thank you, Lord Henka Oju. We will make sure to take you up on that offer. Any other questions? Anyone? I don't have any more questions. Thank you for answering, by the way. Of course. None from me. I say we charge in there and we, rescue this godchild, huh? Seems pretty straightforward. If anyone tries to stop us, I'll hit it with my sword. Usually that works. Even against the chrysalis.
Voska wordlessly and silently exhales and kind of gives the appropriate bow. Thank you for your patience, Lord Oju. We will be sure to alleviate the stagnation.
I appreciate your assistance, Paragon of Nitbusa. And of course, my patience runs as long as the Ruku River to the Sigirni Ocean. That's a long way. That's like several hundred miles.
And I think Citlalli sets down her cup and they just go, so does Unme still reside within the lake, being that she is the lake?
She does.
Good.
Yeah, maybe I'll pay the temple a visit. Because I am, I worship Sen. Yeah, I worship Sen, so it'd be great to head out to the temple and say hello to Unmei, who serves Sen, as we all know. Mercy, why are you shouting? I'm not shouting. I'm what? All right, thank you for the tea. Can we go now, please, everyone?
Voska looks at Citlalli, begging.
Citlalli is... I think in this moment, Citlalli is still just, like, staring into her teacup. Like, a beat too long of just, like, yeah, that's my... okay, yep. And then when they look back up, Voska, you can tell that, like, something has occurred within them, but, she's fine. She's like, yes, let's, Mercy, let's get some fresh air. And, kind of gets up, with all of the appropriate, pleasantries. But,
yeah, of course. Thought you'd never ask.
And gets Mercy out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as like the door shuts behind them, all of you still in the parlor hear Mercy go, "Oh, that was awkward. Am I right? Jeez. Oh.
Mercy,
God,
you're
she see
still
what happened to
shouting.
Gwalion, and that's fine. The door's closed.
No,
That
it's a
dragonborn
thin
woman.
door. It's a thin
Oh,
door.
should we
Mercy.
move? Should we move away from
Yes,
the porch?
Mercy.
Okay,
we
yeah.
should.
All right.
Move.
And you all hear the voices get like quieter, but still very audible. Like, all right, here. Anyway, as I was saying, yeesh. Ooh.
But we need to keep moving. And
Talk
like
about
you
the
hear
lack of subtlety.
you hear Citlalli moving her, I think. Like trying to herd her away.
As Dewey gets up from the table, he sort of like scooches the chair. I assume it's like a wooden chair, and it like makes that like he sort of prolongs the scooching back of the chair, so like it's trying to drown out the Mercy yelling.
It's technically a cushion on the ground, but let's say like the cushion is like making a
Yes.
like a noise against the wood.
He prolongs that and like gets up and like clears his throat in case Oka is still dissociating into a teacup.
Yep. On Dewey's cough, Oka kind of looks up and they're like, "Oh, are we going? Okay." And they do, I think, like the very like correct and polite bow, and the beads of their crown kind of like fall forward and then back onto their face. But they like don't really look at Lord Henka Oju. They just kind of get up and start walking away.
I think as the rest of you start to filter out, I think Oka, maybe you're the last one to leave, like Dr. Luso's with you, Dewey, and you just hear Lord Oju's voice behind you, Oka, go, "Prince Hien, the lives of my people depend on you. Please remember that."
And Oka pauses at the threshold. And they look back over their shoulder. And they look very serious. Like her words have kind of fallen into them entirely. And they nod, looking kind of troubled. And kind of follow, I suppose, like Dr. Luso's coat out.
And on all of you leaving, the wooden door shutters closed once more. And I want to get from each of you, is there, before we do like a travel montage to Kinongbo, right? Is there anything y'all do in particular to prepare for getting to the capital, right? Or here in the village or on the road?
Yep. I think Oka leaves, and then immediately they just start walking somewhere. And I am a monster hunter and a blood hunter, and I can smell blood in the air, etc., etc. I'm looking for Queen Wood. I'm gonna go find her and talk to her.
Yeah, you find her, boom, you can just, you turn the corner and you see she's in shore, like a courtyard with trees planted. That several people are walking through, like admiring the fruits, the blossoms, and she's in particular standing at the foot of a hawthorn tree, imported from Toulon. And with her are two of her children. You recognize them, the former Princess Mo Hongbu and the former Prin Mo Ku.
Yeah, I think Oka just kind of like turns, maybe somebody is like talking, like somebody is going to say something to them, and they just turn and they start walking toward that courtyard as soon as they see them.
Oka.
Gwalion? What are you doing here?
I don't see how any of that is your concern. This isn't too long. I'm allowed to be here.
Certainly you are, but I know you to be a woman who is very, very particular and very, very careful. Certainly it is absolutely no accident that we happened to arrive while you were having tea with Lord Henka Oju.
Oh, please. I could appear anywhere, and you would ascribe nefarious intentions to my presence.
And would I be wrong to do so?
You exiled me, stripped me of my title, ruined my livelihood. The least you can do is just leave me and my children be. Mom. And the prince speaks up, 23-year-old fourthborn, half-dragonborn, they, them pronouns. They sort of like hold up a hand. They've got this like short shock of, I think, black hair across their eyes. They look up at you, Oka. And they look strikingly like their older brother, the former Prince Mo, but he's nowhere to be seen. He's not here, actually. Mom, please, They are the paragon of Sen. They can help. They're going to help, okay? Maybe we can tell them what's happening and they can keep an eye out. Moku, do not interrupt me. Do you understand? But Mom, please, Prince Hian, our brother, Prince Mo Jingtian, he's in Kinongbo. He left a few weeks ago. He hasn't come out since. Please, can you keep an eye out for him and save him? We're gonna cut away.
Fuck you! God damn it!
We're gonna cut away from the scene and to someone else who's preparing for Kinongbo.
Voska prepares every day the same way. She places the zither upon her lap as she sits kneeling and plucks the strings to try and find Atalanta. Foolishly, a true act of futility, but she does it nonetheless. And the same answer comes back. I think she would find because there's a beautiful temple nearby, she would go around the perimeter, kneel down, take in nature and the comforting sounds of the water hitting the shore, reminiscent of Nabal, reminiscent of the temple in which her Atalanta sits. And there she will pluck the zither.
Your song, sorrowful and futile, rings out over the gently lapping waves at the shore. You ask a question into the great beyond. You get no answer back. Until you hear a voice snapping you out of your reverie. Nice song. Did you write it yourself, or did you learn it on some paper?
I think there is, as she is plucking, there's a moment where she plucks it, and it's not that it was played badly, but it's definitely like a minor key, so it just sounds slightly off, not like how you would end the song, just slightly off, and looks forward. I did write this, yes.
It's pretty.
Thank you.
You know, I've played the zither a few times myself, just plucking at it, and, it's like no matter how you play it, it sounds good, so, I mean, that sounds nice.
Would you like to play?
Yeah. You mind?
Picks up her zither, and kind of she kind of stands up courteously and then sits down so that she sits adjacent to Mercy and kneels down like a mentor would teaching a little child how to play a zither.
You condescendingly move to the side, and Mercy sort of sits down all swagger and bravado and puts her fingers out. There's like a flash of like a potential futurity where you see her just like absolutely break the strings as she's plucking them, right? Because her fingers are huge.
Voska looks at this in fear.
And I'm gonna have her roll performance.
I just restrained this.
At disadvantage because she's not proficient.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was a nat 1. I rolled a 6 and a 1.
I thought you got rights and could roll a nat 20 as well. No.
I got a 6 and a 1. She plucks a single string and all of them break. Just they like whip and lash off of like the wood of the instrument and like hit her face. Ow! I think your instrument's broken.
I think to every human being who is not exceptionally perceptive, not a single muscle moves in her face. Not a single one. She kind of like gazes at Mercy up and down. I think that is an astute observation, yes.
Yeah, maybe you like, what's it called? You tuned it wrong?
My tuning was fine, but it is no matter. Nothing...
Are you sure? Because it broke, like, real easy. Like, I wasn't even trying to break it. It just broke.
I'm gonna roll something. It's alright. 'Tis a delicate instrument, and there's a level of delicacy, tact to wielding it. I understand if it was too delicate for your experience.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It was a little too flimsy and weak. Right, we agree. Oh. So, Atalanta.
Yes. Is there something you wish to ask me?
No. It's just, you ever, okay, here's a question for you. Have you ever been stuck in traffic on the Heavenly Road? You know, like on a mule or whatever, and this asshole cuts you off, right, to the left, and they like charge ahead, but there's a toll booth. You're both stuck at the same toll booth, even though they charge right ahead in front of you. There's like a moment where we're both there and looking at each other, and you're just sort of like, huh, even though you rushed ahead, we're both still stuck here at the same toll booth.
I can't say that has been personally my experience.
Oh, you must not be a very worldly traveler then, because every traveler I know uses the Heavenly Road.
Or they pick their timing of their travels cutely to avoid traffic.
What, like bandits and weirdos? Well, why pretend to be so dignified and, you know, refined and put together? We all shit and piss and bleed the same. Know what I mean?
I do not understand what you are trying to insinuate, Mercy.
I'm just saying, you know, Atalanta was a little rough around the edges. Know what I mean? Before you've cleaned her up a bit. But we used to throw rocks at people swimming by Bacchanalia Beach. Just for fun.
Atalanta and I too skipped rocks. Close to the shores of Nepal.
Oh, we didn't skip them. We were trying to get as many people with the rocks as possible. There's like bonus points if you got them on the head.
That sounds just like her.
But she was real different after the two of you started dating.
In the background, somewhere else in the temple, you hear Citlalli calling for mercy.
Oh, I should go. Yeah, Citlalli probably wants to see me because, you know, we're dating and we're in love and stuff. So, I hope you find that again. Yeah, because, whoo, man, she really did leave me for you and then just die, huh? And you weren't there to save her, right? So, good talk. Should probably restring that instrument. And Mercy's gonna get up and start to leave.
And I think when Mercy gets up, she sees Citlalli within earshot, looking mildly horrified.
Hey, Citlalli. Voska was just teaching me how to play the zither, but I already knew how.
Why don't you go say goodbye to your ex-girlfriend?
Yes, I will. I was on my way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts to walk away.
Yeah, and I think Citlalli approaches Voska hesitantly.
Not a muscle moves throughout that entire interaction, but picks up the zither and begins to slowly loosen the notches of which the strings are attached to remove them. Because otherwise it'd be very unwieldy to carry. Just a zither.
I think Citlalli takes in the damage and just, do you want me to fix that? I have mending, if that would help. I know it won't be tuned the same. You'd still have to tune it, but you don't have to restring it necessarily.
Voska, like, her head was focused upon she was looking down upon her lap, and looks up to you as you arrive before her and smiles politely, warmly, and says, "Oh, no, it is all right. Yes, it will not tune the same, but there is also a practice to restringing what is broken. 'Tis as she plucks it, the acknowledgement that something is broken, acknowledging the loss, and attempting to find common ground within what is new." And then as she removes that old broken string, she brings in a roll of new string as she gently begins to restring it and tighten it. And it is a good practice. Very meditative, I would say. But thank you for the offer. It is very kind.
Of course. Mercy has a habit of breaking things, so, I have to be very good at putting them back together afterwards.
There's no harm done. I had a feeling that perhaps the instrument was delicate, perhaps. But it is no matter. No harm done.
Are you sure?
I'm certain, Citlalli.
Because once she gets a bone, she doesn't really let go of it.
I'm very good with those who are relentless. But thank you for your concern. I believe there is a degree of truth, and she sighs, reflection in her words.
She is unintentionally wise sometimes. I think that might be me rubbing off on her a bit. Don't know where else she would have gotten it from. And Citlalli, like, kind of half laughs and is, like, kind of trying to, like, you know,
The breeze is still cold.
yeah, yeah, but, Citlalli just kind of looks around, not quite looking at Voska. That talk doesn't have to be now. In fact, after that, I'm not sure it, should be, but perhaps when we have assessed our threat a little more closely, the offer stands at your convenience.
Voska finally finishes adding in all the new 7 strings upon the zither and plucks each one, tunes it slightly. It's almost as if they are perfectly tuned immediately upon being attached, with just a slight mending to them. And she looks up to her, into Citlalli, and says, "That is very kind. I will be sure to take some time to speak with you when we have a better understanding of what is occurring in Kinongbo. But please do understand, it is not your responsibility. This tension. I understand Mercy's frustration, and no harm has been done.
Yet.
I think when you say yet, something flashes in front of Voska's eyes.
It's not necessarily you I'm worried about. It can be both.
The smile remains, and Voska plays like a scale with the new strings, and the breeze warms.
We cut away from Citlalli and Voska to a different part of Unmei's grace, to find Dewey. What are you doing to prepare?
I think Dewey is in a courtyard, pacing frantically, um, because going on this mission with people who, d- um, how do I put this? Uh, Perhaps not the greatest team dynamic. Seems like kind of a death wish at this point because the carnival almost killed him last time, uh, and also everyone else. Um, and now, like, he couldn't get anything from Lord Henka Oju about this mission, and so he's just. But there's like, I don't know who he would talk to about this. He doesn't know who he would talk to about this. He's trying to live up to his new Paragon self and not be such a coward. But this seems like objectively a bad idea.
Where do we find you as you're sort of kicking rocks around?
I think he might have gone to like there's like a royal library of some sort, right? And he like went there under the guise of like preparing, reading up on the city of Kinongbo. But he's given up, and there's like a pile of books, but they're all untouched, and he's just like walking around the table.
As you're pacing, anxiety sort of taking over your mind, you hear a voice emanate psychically within your own head. The voice of Dusty, your sword son. Dad? Are you okay? It's me, your son.
Hi, yeah, I'm good. What's up?
I can just tell you're kind of nervous because our minds are psychically linked, so if you're feeling any huge emotion, it sort of bleeds over to me.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, like when you became the Paragon of Galtanger, that was really intense for me. I'm still unpacking that a little bit on my end, but I just wanted to check in because you seem a little nervous, and I hear everything you hear, and I see everything you see, so.
I am sorry about that. There's a lot of stuff I do in here that you probably shouldn't have to.
It's okay. I mean, you're my dad. I'm your son. We should support each other, right? And like look out for each other and stuff.
Of course.
Hey, how do you feel about Voska and Citlalli? I mean, they're not like Manaya or V. They're pretty different, so it's a new group.
They're pretty different.
They're not a Biku either.
They're great. I'm sure they're extremely
Really?
competent.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, sure, competent, but like they, like I don't know if you picked up on this, but like there was some sort of weird energy in like the tea room between them. And Mercy really doesn't seem to like Voska. Like, really doesn't seem to like her.
Yeah, that one I can see the lines connecting those very clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like maybe not the best time for us to be heading into the final God Shard. If we all die in there, I don't want to take you down with me.
But that won't happen, right? Because you're a Paragon and you'll protect us?
I mean, I'll do my best, but
I believe in you, Dad. I've seen all the incredible things you've done, and now that you have that not God jar anymore, it's like that little furnace strapped to you. Maybe you can do even more incredible things and protect us all?
I mean, ideally, but
Come on, Dad. You just gotta believe in yourself, right? Like, I believe in
Okay.
myself as a sword. You should believe in yourself as a person.
I believe in you too, as both a sword and also my kid. Still not sure how that one works, but
It's pretty straightforward. Sievert's table fell on me, and then I gained sentience. I don't know what's not
and
to
I
follow.
gained a child. I don't know. I can believe in myself as much as I can believe in myself. But
It's-
if the rest of the party isn't like getting along, I don't know how much I can influence that.
Well, maybe it's not your job to make them get along, but maybe you can just sort of focus on the task and watch out for your friends when they need you.
How do you know all this? Wait, hold up. How are you giving me advice about this?
I've been strapped to your back for almost a year. I've seen everything you've seen, Dad. I saw what happened in the carnival. I saw what happened in Too Long. I saw what happened in Dabathati after my eyes were opened. I don't really have eyes, but you know what I mean. And everything in the court. I've been a witness to all of this. To all of the failures and the successes and the shortcomings and the strengths and the weaknesses and the potentials of everyone in your group and of you, Dad. And I know you can do this. So if you can't believe in yourself, believe in me, who believes in you.
I appreciate your confidence in me, though. Even after all you've seen.
I know you used to run away a lot, and maybe a part of you still wants to. But it's the final God Shard. It's the last one, Dad. The last one. The last thing we have to do. Before we save Andake. You can do it.
And then we fight the stranger?
Yes, and then we fight the stranger, and I'll get to show off my brand new awesome moves. Bum bum, pow, slash, slice. Don't worry, I'm not actually moving on your hip.
I get scared, sorry.
I know, I used to be really out of control, yeah, when I was a preteen. But now, you know, I'm a little bit more disciplined. You're gonna kick butt, Dad. You're gonna kick butt. Say it with me. I'm gonna kick butt. Say it.
And Dewey looks around, so no one's watching, and he's like, I'm gonna kick some butt. I could kick some butt.
Louder, more confident.
Well, I could kick some butt out there.
Yeah, that's right, Dad. You're gonna go kick some butt.
Please tell me someone overhears this.
Dewey, what are you doing?
Reading. Books? You see, reading these books on the table.
And I think Oka is standing at the door of the library looking rather haggard. And they just kind of go, well, grab your books and check them out because we have to go save my fucking asshole brother. And they turn on their heel and walk out.
Wait, which one? You have a brother? Okay. And Dewey leaves, I think he leaves the books. And he just follows after Oka and is like, wait, hold up, you gotta elaborate. You can't just say that and leave.
We cut to Oka saying it and leaving. So Oka, where do we find you storming off to?
Oka, I think, is walking through this like snowy, mini palatial compound. They don't know where they're going though, so they're just kind of like poking their head into random courtyards, but they're moving with a lot of purpose. And it's very clear that kind of unlike how they would act when they were with Vanash, this is their own rage. I think that's kind of like bubbled up, and it's the kind of like antsy type that they get when they're really like intent on something and really focused and they're not taking their mind off it. So they just kind of like are looking into every courtyard, and I think as Dewey is chasing them down, they're like, where the fuck are Voska, Citlalli, Mercy? As I think they're like looking around, and I think eventually probably start heading toward the temple. They look back at Dewey a little bit. You remember, Dewey, I have quite a lot of siblings, 15 to be exact. I have one older brother. My older fucking brother. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember that asshole. Why do you want to save him?
Because he marched his cute little ass into Kinongbo, apparently, to try to save his family's reputation, apparently. That's what Mokwo said. So, yeah. And they look like a little unhinged. They just kind of nod and look at Dewey.
So we gotta go right now?
Oka pauses. Soon? Did you need some books or something? What were you even doing?
Reading. Wait, why? I thought you wanted to kill the guy last time you saw him.
We have beef, but we're family. So I think actually the last time I saw him, I was specifically not letting him die. So I would like to actually keep that thread going. So if we could just find Citlalli and Voska and Mercy and Hitsagiton, that would be lovely. And Oka is, I think, kind of like aggressively walking through the streets toward the temple, over like one of the bridges that leads onto those platforms. And perhaps maybe like seeing Voska sitting there having like redone the instrument. Good. Okay. Time to go. We're gonna go tonight, I think.
Voska finishes the last scale as the zither is now tuned. Suddenly is there, kind of looks Oka up and down. Is something the matter? Did you learn something new?
Mm-hmm. No. A family thing.
Voska stands up. Post haste then. Whenever you're...
Great. Thank you for your expeditious movements. Let's go, please.
Oh, we heading out now? And all of you hear Mercy's voice coming from the temple out on the water. She's like walking back across the wooden bridge toward the shore. Yeah, I just wrapped up my goodbyes here, so I'm ready to go whenever. Citlalli, Voska, Oka, Dewey, where's the doctor? Here. Sorry, I've been collecting soil samples from this area. I hear if an emissary resides in an area, then the ground itself becomes divinely blessed in some way, or mutated, depending on the emissary. I'm ready. Oka, are you alright? You look a little disturbed.
Oka just kind of stares, disturbed.
We can talk on the way. I managed to secure ourselves some mounts until we get to the periphery of Kinongbo, then we should make it in by foot.
Voska has already stepped out and walked, I think, as soon as like Mercy showed up and was like, oh yeah, I did this. And closer to where the doctor is, and I was like, that worked? Shall we?
We shall. Alright then. Onward to Kinongbo. And we cut to your party traveling southward toward Kinongbo. To get there, you have to ford the Ma River, which forms kind of like a northern border to Kinongbo, but that's very easily done. And true to word, it does take about 3 days to travel over land and water to get to a vantage point where you can see the capital itself. So I think this travel is, pleasantly awkward, given the bristly interaction between Voska and Mercy back at Unmei's Grace. Mercy does continue to sort of like push your buttons a bit. I think like dropping references to past lovers, to like sometimes being very on the nose about, Anyway, Atalanta's dead, as we all know. Even though like it was a conversation not about that in any way, shape, or form, right? Stuff like that. And Dr. Aluso just spends their time, I think, on the cart that's pulled by these two oxen, sketching the landscape around them in like a truly beautiful way, just like in one of their journals, just taking in this part of Jukai and whatnot. So real quick, how is each of you conducting yourself during travel?
I think Citlalli desperately wants to be scrying, but like knows that it's not going to work, so there's like a frustration, like nothing that like they would normally work works, so like, and they're like, well, that would be a waste of very expensive material, so like no. So I think they would. I think they're rifling through their stuff and come across a clump of hair, straggly blonde hair. And I think they're sitting in the wagon for this. And I think she just kind of pulls it out and holds it very tightly, very securely, and just thinks about Adam. And they go kind of unreadable, kind of Voska level unreadable for a little bit, which is unusual for them, before they put it away. And I think she just is like flipping through her journal and like trying to think of literally anything that could be causing this and could be helpful based on like the everything that she knows, which is not that much more than other people, but you know, court shit, Catholic school gives you a complex, whatever. Yeah. So there's just a lot of frustration and like pent up energy to it. Like Citlalli is like a small atom bomb, I think, on this wagon.
And I think Mercy like tries to engage with you during this like 3-day journey. You know, she's like striking up conversation, you know, trying to like, you know, like offering to massage, you know, your tense shoulders and rub your feet out and whatnot. And is like basically generally trying to interact with you and spend time with you. But are you like so focused that you're unable to sort of cede that attention to her?
I think it's really fickle. I think it honestly, it's like, I was gonna say roll of a d20, but as we've learned today, not the best metric for anything. But like, toss of a coin depends on the moment. Like, and Citlalli has never been like super fickle with Mercy before, so I think there is some new like, I don't know. I think there might be some tension there. But yeah, for the most part, like I think they cede their attention, but almost never all the way.
Totally. So I think because of that, by the end of the 3 days, Mercy is a bit taciturn. She's a little moody because she hasn't been getting her Citlalli time. So she just sort of turns that negative energy back around onto Voska and has just been sort of needling Voska with just random questions and really invasive comments and whatnot. Speaking of which, Voska, how have you been spending this travel time?
Patient meditation and the number of efforts to use her soul magic with the zither to contact Atalanta increases slightly. The duration of the song is longer. She takes more time alone to herself. And for the most part with Mercy's jabs at this point, it is more of the fact that like Voska just doesn't entertain them anymore. Whereas before, she would be polite and say something and genuinely answer the questions, you know, at the beginning as vaguely as possible. Now just does not entertain it and is seems very focused, or would just do the thing of like paying attention outside as if she's giving a lookout during their travels, putting on that veil of focusing on the task at hand instead of Mercy.
I really like that, yeah. So I think like as we pan away from like Mercy, like being like, hello, Voska, I'm asking you, did you ever spar with Atalanta with her trident? Just a simple yes or no question. Jeez, what is with this person? Well, what do you think, Citlalli? You think Voska ever sparred with Atalanta, the trident-wise?
What? Sorry, I was...
No, you know what? Never mind. It's just, I'll just sharpen some javelins or whatever.
No, babe, not the javelins.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go look at your hair or whatever. It's fine. I'll just... Don't worry about it.
I'm here and I'm worrying about it.
I'm good. I'm just gonna.
You're
I like
not
my javelins.
good.
I'm fine. It's okay. It's
Babe,
fine.
I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry about. It's fine.
You're almost as bad of a liar as Oga.
It's fine. Can we not do this in a wagon with literally everyone? And we like pan out to see that Oka and Dewey are right there too. Like we're all in the back of the same wagon.
I think Dewey's been noticing this, and in an attempt to keep the peace, has been like asking each member of the party, sort of like trying to like occupy their time one-on-one with Dewey. So he'll ask like the most like inane like requests of people. He'll be like, "Oh, Mercy, like, can you help me? I can't lift like the buckets of water for our camp tonight. Can you help me? Like, it's all the way over there." And just try to like occupy as much time to keep the peace so they're not interacting. He'll be like, like, "Oh, Voska, can you teach me to like play the zither?" And he's terrible at it, but he's just trying to.
The warmest smile and the warmest attention upon you from Voska when you ask her to like mentor you through the zither. She isn't even like necessarily like constantly like at your ass to kind of like practice whatever, but whenever you do show an interest, like it is a stark contrast just energy wise from everything else of how Voska treats you. It's just the warmest smile. Sometimes when you make a funny mistake, there's like a brief chuckle. You see kind of like the facade breaking a little bit.
Dewey's got the most like, he's got just terrible like butterfingers, like ham hands, butterfingers, can't play this thing. And I think also maybe like another thing he's asked of Mercy is like, oh, can you like show me how to like wield this ridiculous number of javelins you've made? Can I like try and can you teach me how to like hold one? And she's just like absolutely breaking down his self-esteem in the process of teaching.
What are you doing? Why are you holding it like that? Do you
You
not
told me
know how to use your body in any way beyond just reading books and other nerd shit?
you told me hand over hand, right? Like,
Oh my god. I don't want to get too mean as Connie to Dewey, but
okay, imagine Mercy not having an outlet for her needling for a couple of days. I think this is Dewey will take it.
are your hands eternally coated with butter or something?
I thought my grip was fine on them. I didn't even move them that much.
You know what? Just stand there. Just stand there and let me show you what would happen if I'm using a javelin against you. I'm not actually gonna hurt you, and like Mercy like grabs the javelin from you and starts like past your face, like under your wing, like right between your legs, like bam, 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 bam. Like you're dead there, dead. Gods. And this isn't even the one I coated with poison.
I'm very thankful for that. And Dewey's got his eyes pressed shut and he's like in mortal terror. He's like reminding himself, at least they're not arguing.
Oh my god. Okay, and now we're gonna cut over to Oka. I wanna know what Oka's doing during travel.
Oka has reverted a little bit, unfortunately, I think, to how they kind of acted the first few weeks that they were at Dr. Aluso's. But also they kind of take up the habit that they actually started in Arc 1, where they sleep during the day. Because if they sleep during the day, they don't have nightmares, and that means that they can actually keep moving at night because they drive the cart at night. So I think they try to sleep through most of this, and they've definitely like woken up in the middle of the day while they were trying to sleep in the back of the cart, punched Mercy in the arm as hard as they could to get her to shut up and stop asking Voska horrible, ridiculous questions, and like going back and trying to sleep again. But when they are awake, like in between the mornings and the nights, they are kind of out of it. They are sleeping during the day, but they still have these like really dark circles under their eyes. And they are kind of obsessively reading Shu Hai Miao's diary over and over and over. And I think like just like in the evenings during dinner, when like the overlap period of when Oka is awake and when everyone else is awake, Oka is like, they have their bowl of soup or whatever, and they have the diary and they're bleeding on it and reading it, right? And that's the only thing they do. You like watch them get to the end and then they go back to the beginning and start doing it again, just over and over and over, obsessively reading the same passages again and again and again. Even though they have literally translated it into their own journal several times, they just like keep reading it, and then they like look up and then keep reading it again. And they don't do much talking to anyone particularly.
Oka, something you notice that you begin to notice as you are poring hours and hours over Shu Hai Miao's diary. It's subtle, but it's happening. The passages change. At first, just a word or two there. A V replaced with an A, right? Numbers are shifted and 11 becomes a 6. But it's unmistakable. So gradual. You don't notice because it's happening right underneath your nose, but it's only when you compare it with the passages you've written in your own journals based on a hunch that, yeah, the passages shift and are almost completely different. Like from when you first started recording them to now. And the change is all over the place. Like, one particular journal entry was about how, like, toward the beginning, right? Like, oh, these monsters, right, that are attacking us on the battlefield are so weak and flimsy. Like, they're constructed out of shadows woven from molasses or, like, woven from sugar string. Like, that has been, like, wiped away completely and replaced with, like, these foes are formidable. It's like they know our every move, our every weakness. And then, like, later passages become the ones about the weak foes. Middle passages get mushed together. There's no rhyme or reason. It seems to be completely random. Like, it's shifting between different realities or timelines or perceptions of the same event. You start to notice that.
Oka goes a little intense, I think, about it. I think especially as they're getting closer and closer and they're like diving further and further into the journal, there are like nights, I think, where somebody is like maybe woken up by the sound of like Oka talking like really loudly to Dr. Lusa. Look, this passage here, this is about a face changer, a face stealer. Look, and you can see what I wrote down before. It's not the same. The words, it just changed. I watched it change just now.
Oka, I know you've been sleeping during the day. I just want to make sure that you're fully rested and you're okay. I believe you about the diary, the changes. That is quite concerning. I'd love to talk more about it with you when we're not several hours out from Kinongbo, but I just wanted to check in, Oka. Are you stable? And Dr. Lisa's like looking at your dark circles, your like wide frenzied eyes, right? Like your hair that's sort of like plastered up, stuck up on one side because you've been sleeping on it weird.
Oka looks kind of down at the diary. Yeah, I just can't lose anyone else. It's too important to fuck up this time. Just trying to be prepared.
You don't have to be prepared alone, Oka, so thank you for showing me this diary. Can you point me to the specific changes? I can maybe try to put together a hypothesis.
And then I think it's like their heads are like kind of like tucked down over the diary together as Oka goes through like each of the changes, which one came first, you know, the ones that are in their journal, how they've changed, and all the different notes about that.
I love it. So I think, like I mentioned, that was several hours out from Kinongbo. And by the time the capital draws into view, starless dark has wrapped its way around the horizon. The only pinprick of light, I think, afforded by the torches mounted on by your oxes and on your cart. And I think like there's like a groaning moment as like your steeds make their way to the top of a hill. And then Dr. Luso straightens up a little bit and says, I prepared some goggles of night vision for this particular reason, so that we can perhaps glimpse at Kinongbo from a distance. Here. Dewey, do you have your own? I think I recall you having your own. Right. Then Voska, Mercy, you're here. Do we want to we do this as a group? Yeah, I think all of you like lift these lenses, right, like up to your eyes, and you peer out past this like hill that your mounts have breached, and you all see Kinongbo, city of secrets, capital of Jukai, built atop a tall hill in the near distance, overlooking the Ruku River to the south and the Ma River to the north. These tilled acres of farmland steeple their way up toward the heart of the capital. A low wooden fence, at least 30 miles long in circumference, surrounds the entire base of the hill, marking the place where Kinongbo and the Stagnation begins. And from your vantage point up high, surrounded by, I think, like still snowy trees and little frosty rocks, you can see the buildings that comprise the capital staggered at different elevations like a ziggurat, right? They all sort of like tier all the way up to the top. And these wooden shrines with glazed tile pop up. You see ponds glistening with ice and lily pads, courtyards teeming with vegetables, flowers, fruit trees. And finally, at the very top of the hill, towering above everything, a massive pagoda, at least 80 stories tall, visible from miles away. This is Kinongbo Shrine, the largest altar to Sen in all of Jukai and the crown jewel of the Emerald Palace. Dr. Luso lowers their night vision lenses and nods grimly. All right, we're just a few minutes out now. Are we ready?
I think, before we get in closer, Voska looks towards Citlalli and pulls out her flute and plays a little song. I would like to use my Tales from Beyond to use use an action to target one creature within 30 feet that I can see and bestow them a gift from a tale. I have to roll my bardic inspiration die to see what you get. Oh, this is the one I wanted. Okay, this is the one I wanted. Okay. Tale of the Clever Animal. For the next 10 minutes, whenever the target makes an intelligence, a wisdom, or charisma check, the target can roll an extra die immediately after rolling the d20 and add the extra die's number to the check. The extra die is the same type as your bardic inspiration die.
That's a D10.
That's a d10. You get an extra d10 to your check. And Voska just kind of like plays this really short but almost happy pointed tune as if rabbits were hopping in a field, like a whimsical little tune. And you see this coating of light blue effervescent off of the notes that she is playing and swirl around you, Citlalli. And Voska releases the flute from her lips. Hopefully that will help you when we enter, just in case.
Why me? I thank you, but me?
You're not a paragon. I don't want to lose you in there.
Oh, then should you do one for me too? How about Dr. O? Or just my partner?
I can only choose one person to do this at a time.
Uh-huh, yeah, sure. Yeah, makes sense. Sure.
Babe.
Hmm?
Come on. Give her a break.
I'm not ribbing her. Are you ribbing her? I'm not. I'm just pointing out
Mercy, stop griping. And Oka gives Mercy a gentle stab. I think just
with your dagger.
I suppose I have a dagger. I forgot with my dagger. Just a nice gentle one. And they kind of touch it. It kind of immediately closes, but Oka pulls the blood toward themselves. And I use my my brand of tethering. So I will always know what direction Mercy is in.
Ow, fuck!
Oh,
great.
What?
Hey,
you wanted to be
Oka.
included, didn't you?
I do. What did you do? Did you give me some sort of cool magic boon thing? Am I gonna like hit enemies
this
really
is like
hard?
a child leash.
Huh?
It's like a leash for babies.
Fuck you, Oka. Come on, let's leave these cows here and make the rest of the way on foot. And like Mercy's like,
Voska's already left.
yeah. Mercy like hops off the cart, like with the night goggles still on, and Dr. Luso lets out a sigh, puts out their palm, and like an orb of blue light appears. And they like cast this like gentle light out to like illuminate your path. They also hop off the cart. All right, everyone, let's try to stay together. Yes. Wonderful. Mercy. I know one of your exes was a monster therapist, but I don't know if she was licensed. If you would like to, seek perhaps some counseling, I have a list of doctors I could recommend. And like Dr. Elisa's like following after Mercy, who's just forging on ahead.
Voska like whistles and gives Dr. Luso a bardic inspiration.
Aww, that's sweet. Yeah, Dr. Luso pauses in talking to Mercy and just, I feel tingly. Was that you, Voska? Thank you.
Nods and nods at Dr. Luso, and it's just like, Oka makes a very good point that we should have more protection for more folks here. I don't know what comes ahead, but I hope we do not separate.
I appreciate that, Voska. And thank you for all of your protection on us non-paragons, but we can handle our own. Though I'm not going to turn down a boon if you're offering.
Voska kind of like chuckles and does this slight smile.
I think your party then, guided by Dr. Luso's light, begin to make your way down this hill you're perched upon and toward Kinongbo, toward that low wooden fence surrounding the bottom of the mountain. And as you get closer and closer and closer to that fence, you don't notice anyone immediately beyond it. You don't see people like standing in like statue formation or anything like that. It's just quiet, looks normal, feels normal. Though, by the time you get within, I want to say 60 feet or so of the fence, all of you feel the weave sort of tense. And the closer and closer you draw to the fence, like the tighter and tighter and tighter the weave pulls, right? As some sort of like massive magical effect is clearly like just beyond that boundary. And I think like Dr. Luso pauses, like maybe like a foot or two away from the fence. And it's sort of like almost like a black hole or some sort of like gravitational force, right? Is it there? You can't see it, but you feel it. You feel it sort of like etching along your nerves and like causing the hair on like the back of your neck to rise, right? And like I think like a tingle to sort of travel through your nervous system. Are we ready, everyone? Together?
And I think as Dr. Luso says that, Oka takes that step forward, and I think they were kind of like almost behind everyone, but they look completely entranced, I think. And I think like as they take one more step forward, like the freckles on their face begin to glow a little bit. And usually their wings, like before the cataclysm, their wings were very ghostly and would kind of like just fly out of their back. And after the cataclysm, their wings now kind of tear out of their back. But this time they almost just like unfold out of this like soft part of their scapula as both of their wings just kind of furl out behind them, and they take a step in past the threshold, almost like they're dreaming.
Oka, you step in, and we follow you as you pass through an invisible barrier that sort of like shimmers, like you're like falling vertically into water, right? Like ripples, like past you, past your skin, past your wings. And Oka, as soon as you're within the boundary of Kinongbo, there is a blinding light, right? Like almost like there's someone's like right beyond it, invisible, shining light in your eyes. And I think you even have to like blink a bit, and we see your pupils like shrink, and like, oh, you blink like as you like adjust to this new light. And when your blinking settles down, you realize what that blinding ray of light was. It was the stars in the night sky above your head. And we are going to end the session there. So thank you everyone so much for tuning into Arc 6, Episode 1 of The Second Stranger. I've been your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and Ko-Fi. By Connie Chong. That's BYCONNIECHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Quinn.
Hey, hello, I'm Quinn. My pronouns are they, she. You can find me on Twitter doing many TTRPG things at Quintastic _. Whoo. What? Huh? Woo. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. I'm gonna pass outros to Val.
Hi. Yes, that indeed just happened. You sat there with us as we watched it. Excellent. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Dorian. I'm a TTRPG performer and a Twitch variety streamer. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and Ko-Fi and other things, either at Valiant Dorian or at Also Spirit Bear. And I use he, him, his pronouns. Sorry, that reveal was a lot. I had to think about my own pronouns for a moment. And thank you all for tuning in. I'm passing this along over to Max.
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey, Could Kick Some Ass Quirk. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Starchmonger. And I'll pass it to C.
Hi, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I am a TTRPG performer, digital artist, dramaturg. You can find me making very trans, very gay art on the internet at Pi Sharp Art. I played Okahien, who's having a totally normal fun time. Connie. What?
Thank you everyone
Hey,
so
what?
much for
Hey,
tuning in.
what?
We're gonna raid someone, no doubt, who's really, really awesome and really cool. So give them a follow if you like their stuff. Tell them Transplanar sent you. Use the raid message in chat. I'm not gonna answer any questions because we're out of the campaign and I don't have to answer to you no matter how well you roll right now. So we will see you next Saturday for the kickoff event for the Morose group. Saturdays we stream 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Pacific. 5 p.m. Pacific. We love you all so much. We will see you next week and stay tuned for the rage. Bijou, bijou.